Hello and welcome back to another video, guys. Now, this is one of my favourite ones to do every month. This is me talking about the films I have watched in the month that has just passed us. So that's right, we're nearly out of 2020. November is done. And this was maybe this was my busiest month in terms of watching films while I've been doing this series. This is the third or fourth video I've made now. Where I've gone over the films I've watched in the month that's passed, and this is the busiest one. I've hit nearly over 20 films. In fact, I might have hit just over 20 films. There's a lot of cool films in here. There's some new releases. There's some old classics. I got into the Studio Ghibli films, so if you're a Studio Ghibli fan, there's like 3 or 4 of them here. There's some classics, so there's a lot of variety in here. I've gone through a couple HMV premiums. There's a couple Criterions. There's a couple horrors in here, so there's a lot of variety. So we're going to be talking about a good range of movies this month. So let's get started with the first one up, which admittedly a lot of people are going to roll their eyes out like, why did you bother? But yeah, I did watch this. It's a new Netflix release. It's called Holiday. And this film does what it says on the tin. It's a Netflix throwaway rom-com. And you know what? I say throwaway. It wasn't awful. There were moments in it that I enjoyed. This film suffered from being too long. And a few too many side characters, probably, which were just not interesting. But overall, the film is what it says on the tin. It's nothing special. It's a new Netflix rom-com. You know what you're getting when you go into a film like this. But hey, for a date night, it would be a really good movie. But it's not going to do anything that blows you away. But it will kill 2 hours, and it's not bad by any means. It just suffers from being a bit long. So out of 10, I'll give Holiday. I'll give it a 6. Yeah, it's 6. That's probably what it deserves. Next up, we've got Pretty in Pink. So Pretty in Pink was a film which I've been meaning to watch for a while now. After watching The Breakfast Club and really enjoying The Breakfast Club, I watched that for the first time, I think the month before I started this series, so I didn't really get to talk about it. Yeah, I really enjoyed The Breakfast Club, as I say, and I wanted to watch Pretty in Pink, so I hear it's somewhat similar. I'm pretty sure it's by the same director. Of course, it stars the same lead actress whose name's escaping me right now. Pretty in Pink was good. I enjoyed it, but a few people have actually had sort of overhyped this one a bit for me, I think. They'd said, oh no, this is a really good, feel-good 80s movie. And I get it. It wasn't that I disliked it. It was a fun time. I enjoyed it enough, but I didn't love it. I found it a little bit non-engaging at times. There was moments where I wanted to go on my phone. There were just a couple slow moments which I wasn't enjoying. And yeah, I found some of the characters, some of the decisions they made to be a bit baffling. Yeah, Pretty in Pink was good. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it more than Holiday, I'd say, just. But it didn't wow me, this film. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. So next movie up is one of 2 movies I've reviewed here on the channel in detail. So this one here I'll be quick with. The new SpongeBob SquarePants movie. This is SpongeBob SquarePants Sponge on the Run. This movie was interesting. As I said in my review, I thought I was going to be really against this movie because I love the 2D drawn animation, and that's SpongeBob to me. I watched it as a kid growing up, so I was like, I'm not sure I'm going to like this new style of animation, but it really grew on me. I found it really nice. The colours popped really well. It's a lot better than I thought it would be. The voice actors, considering I haven't watched SpongeBob in about 10 years, you could tell some of them have aged up a bit. Some of them sounded exactly the same. It was a bit weird. The story was decent. The only thing I didn't like was I know that the creator of SpongeBob said he never wanted to do backstories for the characters, which is completely understandable. And now that he has unfortunately passed away, one of the first things they do is give these characters backstories. And it feels like they're almost spitting in his face here, which is a bit sad, because I believe they're doing a spin-off show about the camp that they go to in the movie, and it's a little bit sad for the creator, I think, a little bit disrespectful. But nevertheless, I actually surprisingly enjoyed this movie. It wasn't great. I'll give this film a 6.5 as well out of 10. Next up, we've got a movie called On the Rocks. Now, I forget the name of the lead actress in this, but most people know her probably from Parks and Recreation. She also was in season 3 of The Office. She played Jim's girlfriend. You know, that's what most people probably know from. And her dad, I believe, was the creator of the TV show Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And this film also stars Mr. Bill Murray. And because these two are both hilarious actors, I love both of them equally in their own respect. I was expecting just a laugh out loud comedy here. And what I got was not that. And that's not a bad thing. This film surprised me. This film was really serious. It had a really interesting tone to it, which I just wasn't expecting. And both these actors done an incredible job in the movie. I love these two actors so much. And yeah, this film surprised me. I just genuinely walked away thinking I had a really good time with that. Again, it doesn't do anything incredible. I think it will end up being one of those movies that kind of slips your mind when you look back at 2020. You'll go, oh yeah, I forgot that film come out. But for what it is at the minute, considering it's still a bit fresh in my mind, I'll give it a little bit of props, because it wasn't just a throwaway comedy movie, which is what you'd expect looking at the trailers and the posters and the cast. It was a good movie, good time. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Next up, we're going to start off my Studio Ghibli movie. This is the first one I watched because I saw a few people talking about it in the Big Paulie Facebook group earlier on in the month of November, and I thought, you know what? There was a lot of people going back and forth. Some people saying they love Studio Ghibli, and some people saying, you know, I don't really get it. Which now I've watched a few, I get it. I get why they're not for everyone. They're very bizarre movies. I think is a good way to describe it. But I thought, you know what? I hear these movies are amazing for most people, and I feel like I need to get in on the action here. So I'm gonna watch some. So I started off with what is meant to be the best one of them all, and is probably my favourite of the bunch still that I've watched. And that is Spirited Away. I freaking love this movie. This movie probably in my top 10 animated movies now. This film was incredible. I love anime style. I never really got into anime too much, but I love the style of it. I know it's something I would love. And of course, these are Japanese movies, and they're incredible. The voice actors that they get here in the UK are incredible as well. I forget who's in this one, but a couple other movies I've watched have had like huge actors like Cate Blanchett, Liam Neeson, Billy Bob Thornton. There's been loads of huge actors in some of these movies that I've watched now. But Spirited Away was absolutely fantastic. I loved it. The geniusness behind this. I'm going to watch it again probably in the next week or so. I absolutely need to rewatch this movie. The characters themselves I found fascinating. I love the mythology behind it, of what some of these things can do, and the brutalness of some of it. Like it's mind-boggling how someone come up with this. It's incredible. It's a wacky, weird story. But I absolutely loved it, and I bought it on Blu-ray because I loved it that much. And I've got a few other Studio Ghibli films down Blu-ray. And wow. I'm going to give this film a 9 out of 10. This film freaking rocks. It's so good. Next up, okay. Me and a couple of friends got together, had a few drinks, and we sat down to watch. I don't know why we watched it. I do, because we were all sitting there like, oh, let's watch a really intense movie. And when we were saying this, I thought we were going to watch a drama or something. And we ended up watching The Conjuring. I have not seen either of the Conjuring movies. I have not seen the Nun or the Annabelle movies, because I'm pretty sure they're all connected. Well, I know Annabelle is. I'm pretty sure the Nun's connected as well now. I've never seen any of these movies. I knew I wouldn't like it. See, there's some horror films that I could get on with, like It. I find the clown funny. He doesn't scare me. I think he's hilarious. There are other horror films that I just find interesting, like Get Out, Ready or Not. I find those horror films interesting. This was... Blimey. This was scary. This was... I was petrified throughout this movie. And it's funny, because I talked to some people about it, like my sister, and she goes... Didn't find it that scary. She found it more scary. And I was like, what? So this all comes down to personal preference, I think, of what scares you more. But this really ticked nerves with me. My heart was pounding throughout the whole movie. I was... And we're going to watch the second one next week or the week after. So you'll hear about The Conjuring 2 in my next month's video. But wow, this film terrified me. Saying that, it is a very well made movie. What I love about this movie is that it builds up these jump scares. and then there's no payoff. There's nothing there. You go, your heart's racing, you're thinking, oh my god, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. And most horror films would deliver with a jump scare. But this film doesn't do that. It builds up and then there's nothing. And you're like, okay, relax. Turn around, bam, there it is. And it's really clever how it does that. The story itself, the backstory, I was so invested with why these ghosts, demons, whatever you want to call them, were appearing. I found this genuinely fascinating. The story was a lot better than I thought it would be. The characters were really good. And the fact that this is based on true events, I mean, I personally don't believe in this stuff. However, it's interesting because it's like, okay, so this is based on a true event, so something weird obviously happened here. I'm guessing it was just a bunch of mental cases. But it's interesting how they've put it into a story about ghosts. But I found it fascinating nevertheless. The Conjuring was actually a really good time. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I thought this movie was fantastic, even though it scared the crap out of me. Okay, next up, another Studio Ghibli movie, My Neighbor Totoro. He's the mascot now for Studio Ghibli. He's the Mickey Mouse. He's the Pikachu. And this film is adorable. I loved it. I really did. I was in awe of this entire film. The connection, it's interesting. It takes me back to when I was younger with my younger sister. And she'd just want to go outside and play all the time. And then, you know, as the older brother, I had to keep an eye on her and stuff. And it very, very nice movie like that. It really took me back to when I was younger. There's some weird stuff in here, like the cat train. I wasn't sure about that. But other than that, this was a really heartwarming movie. And the connection between the dad and what was going on with the mum, it was really beautiful, this movie. I can see why everyone loves it. This film was great. I didn't like it as much as Spirited Away, but I did really enjoy it. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Then we've got About Time, which is a film which I've had on Blu-ray right here for ages. I bought it for £1 in CEX because of Ryan, and he was begging me to watch it for like ages, and we finally watched it. And this is one of the best movies I've seen on this list. This film shocked me. I was just expecting a silly rom-com, and it is so much more than that. If you're not a fan of rom-coms, that's fine, I get it. They're not for everyone. But go watch this one. This is so much more than a rom-com. This film is genuine brilliance. It's so British, I love it as well. The actors in it, Donald Gleeson, Rachel Adams, and Bill Nye especially. Incredible performances. It's rare I cry at a film, but I could feel my eyes swelling up at the end. I was genuine. I had tears. Oh, I was a wreck at the end of this movie. This film was absolutely fantastic. I have very little problems with it. It's so clever. The time travel aspect to it was so well done. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I think this film is absolutely fantastic. About time. Next up, we got The Godfather Part III. That's right, I said in my last month's video I would finish off the Godfather trilogy this month. And I respect the Godfather films a lot, the first two. I think they're really interesting movies. I'm not one of these fans who will go out and say, I absolutely love the Godfathers, because I don't. You know, personally, I don't. I really, really like them. I think I gave them both 9 out of 10s. I really do enjoy them. I respect them for what they are. They got fantastic dialogue. The cinematography is great. The acting is out of this world. The score is brilliant. But they're very long movies with very long, drawn-out scenes. And even though I like slow films, I like dramas and period pieces, they're 3 to 3.5 hours of, you know, just that. It's not really my cup of tea too much, even though I really, really did enjoy it. So I was a bit nervous going into the third one because I heard the third one weren't great. And you know what? I can kind of get on board with that. I didn't think this movie was great. I was falling. I honest to God fell asleep the first time I watched it. Got about an hour into it and I fell asleep. So I picked it back up the next day, and it was a struggle at times. This movie has some really long, boring scenes. There are some directions that characters go in which I didn't really feel. Not that they didn't make sense. It's just compared to the last films, it's like, not sure this fits. The Godfather Part III is just not a film which particularly interested me, and I can't lie, I know I'm going to upset some people here, but just remember, this is my personal opinion. I'm pleased I've watched all 3 now, and I'm sort of done with them. I probably will revisit the first 2 at some point in the future, but it won't be anytime soon. I respect them for what they are. They're very well made movies, but hey, that's me sort of done with the Godfather films for a while. Godfather Part 3, I'll give it a 5.5 out of 10. I think that's the lowest rated movie I had today. Jeez. Sorry, people. Next up is the Disney Plus original movie called Clouds. This is very interesting for Disney. It's, they're stepping out of their comfort zone a bit here, making a very serious movie, which is based on a tragic true story, but a very, very interesting one at the same time. And I really like the way this film went. It had some cheesy moments to it. You know, it's Disney. It had some cheesy moments to it. But this film had some real nice, heartwarming moments. And by the end of it, I can see why people are probably crying their eyes out. It's a heartbreaking movie, but it's a really good one. I enjoyed it a lot. I'll give this film a 6. I'll go 6.5. I'll be kind. 6.5 out of 10 on Clouds. Next up, Donnie Darko. Here comes another controversial one, people, because I know people love Donnie Darko. I didn't like this movie much. I know, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Again, I know people love this movie, and I can sort of see why. I love the psychological aspect to it. I love the fact that nothing is given to you on a silver platter and that you have to think about it. I love it when films do that. I don't like being handed or spoon-fed information. It is nice to have to think about something. But this film just doesn't give you any explanations. At the end, it just chucks everything at you at once, and it's a bit overwhelming. There are some scenes which just are not needed here. It's trying to be edgy, almost for the sake of being edgy. And I respect that this film was one of the first films like this, and it opened the door for others. Completely get that. That's great. But then there are others that come along and did this better. This film is kind of a mess. I think the acting is not great at times. Even from Jake Gyllenhaal, who I absolutely love. And, there's just some things about it which I didn't really like. Like, I actually enjoyed it whenever the bunny thing was on screen. It was creepy, and then it took its mask off, and I'm like, wow, I just don't find you near as creepy anymore. I don't care about you at all anymore. I'm sorry. I know people are going to rag on me in the comments for this movie, and it's fine. Just, let's all just be kind. This is all just opinion-based, but I didn't like this movie. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. Next up, Ponyo. I think, yeah, we got three Studio Ghibli films here in a row. So Studio Ghibli fans, sit down. Anyone else who don't care about Studio Ghibli, maybe fast forward a little bit. Ponyo. This was a great movie. Really, really interesting. I love the look of this movie. This one was so bright and colourful. And again, the voice actors in this one were fantastic. It was nice hearing Liam Neeson, big Liam Neeson fan. Yeah, the dynamic, the relationship between Ponyo and the kid in this movie, I found very investing. I found it really interesting. Yeah, I really did enjoy this movie. I as you can tell, I don't have as much to say about this one as I did the first two. But I found this film very entertaining for what it was. And the ending, I really, really loved the ending. I'm going to give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. Next up, When Marnie Was There. Now, this is one of Studio Ghibli's more recent ones. I think it was 2016. This one here, of course, is Haley Steinfeld and Kieran Shipka, I believe, are the two leads in this. And this film was brilliant. This one was great. I love the relationship between these two characters. I love because, again, this doesn't spoon-feed you information either. It leaves you thinking like the lead character that Haley Steinfeld's voicing, like, what is going on here? I want to make sense of this, but I'm not 100% sure. And then at the end, when everything sort of comes to life, you're like, oh, wow, damn, that's good. And I love this movie. The ending was fantastic. All the side characters were great. I really, 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 really enjoyed this movie. I'm going to give this film an 8.5. Then we've got Princess Mononoke. I think that's how you're saying it. I've watched the film. I should know how to say it, but I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. I think this might be the weirdest one here. Yeah, this is also the last Studio Ghibli film that I've seen at the minute. So for those of you who aren't interested in Studio Ghibli, don't worry, we're nearly through them. This film was very strange, but I loved it. I loved the mythical side of this one, and wow, it was. I don't really know how to describe it. I've never seen anything like this. It was very out there, which I really admired. It was like, mix of Avatar: The Last Airbender mixed with Star Wars, maybe on acid. It was. I'm surprised this film's just a PG. There's some very brutal moments in this movie. But wow, this film was something else. I respect it for the balls. The story was fantastic. Again, this is a film like Spirited Away, which I want to watch again. I really, really did enjoy this. I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10. Really good movie. Then we've got... I didn't know whether to include this because this was only a 40-minute mini movie, but I'm going to include it anyway. Star Wars, The Holiday Special 2020. Yeah, the little Lego movie here. Me and my mates watch this, you know, big Star Wars fans. So... you know, you got to take into consideration who this is aimed for. It's not aimed for me, it's aimed for kids. And I think kids will enjoy it. I do. I think they'll have a good time with it. As a Star Wars fan and an adult watching it, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. You know, the humour I found very cringy for the most part. The best jokes in here were the ones which only proper Star Wars fans will get, like the hello there's, and the bit where they take some digs at, like, oh, the Emperor's definitely dead, and blah, blah, blah. But the main jokes, the in-your-face jokes, were very cringy, I thought. The voice acting wasn't great, especially from the two leads, Finn and Rey. They didn't really sound like Finn and Rey. And the story, you know, the thing is, none of this is canon, so it doesn't bother me. They can go stupid as they want. It's not canon, don't care. Unlike The Rise of Skywalker, which is canon, and they completely fuck with the lore, and I hate it. But this time, it isn't canon, so they can fuck with the lore as much as they want. And the film is what it is. It's fun time. Fun time. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. You know, it's just meh for me. Next up, we got a film which I promised I'd watch in my last month's video, and that is Taxi Driver by Mr. Martin Scorsese. Don't worry, people who are probably upset with me still about the Godfather, my Godfather comments. I enjoyed this film a lot more than the Godfather Part 3. This film was really, really good. Robert De Niro was amazing in this movie. I love Robert De Niro. I really found his character interesting, all the stuff he was going through and what he was trying to be and do. He was really fascinating. I love the look of this movie. The look of it is great. The one thing I loved, but then by the end of the film I was kind of sick of, was the score. It's this amazing piece which they kept playing, and it was great for the first hour of the film. I was like, I love this. It's really setting the tone, and it keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going. And you're like, by the end of it, you're like, fucking hell. But overall, Taxi Driver was fantastic, I thought. I had a really good time with it. Martin Scorsese really, truly is one of the best directors. I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10. Really, really enjoyed Taxi Driver. Next up, we got The Truman Show. Yeah, I've never seen this movie before. You know, it's... I don't know why. Maybe because I'm not a huge Jim Carrey fan. I mean, I like him, but I'm not like one of these diehards who loves everything he's done. But this film was fantastic. Wow. I knew nothing about this film going into it. And it's funny, me and my friend Ryan and Luke were on Zoom watching it together. And they've both seen it. And there I am with my glass of wine in my hand. And it was the first half hour I was baffled. I was sitting there thinking, what the fuck is going on? Why is everyone so weird? And then they're doing clear product placement to the camera. And I'm like, what is happening? Why is this happening? And they were loving watching my facial expressions. But I sort of clocked on about half hour in why things were happening. It felt like a really good Black Mirror episode. And I loved this movie. I thought this was fantastic. Really clever. I love films that make you think like this. I'm going to give The Truman Show an 8.5 out of 10. I thought this film was fantastic. Next up, I watched A Whisker Away. That's right, this is not a Studio Ghibli movie. This is Netflix trying to do a Studio Ghibli movie. And it's brand new release, 2020, so I wanted to watch it. It looked interesting. It looked like Netflix trying to do a Studio Ghibli movie, so I kind of wanted to watch it. You know, Spirited Away, A Whisker Away. They couldn't have made things more obvious, really, if you think about it. But I've seen people ragging on it a bit online. I don't get it. I actually found this film very, very good. The animation's really good. You know, it's very similar to Studio Ghibli. I don't think the colours popped quite as well as Studio Ghibli ones. The voice acting was decent. Again, it didn't quite come up to par with the Studio Ghibli ones. I found like some of the characters a bit too annoying. But the weird, wacky concept of a character turning into a cat to go visit someone who doesn't really like her yet because she is obsessed with him. I found that the concept, like, this is something that Studio Ghibli could do. This was weird and wacky, and I really, really liked it. And yeah, again, this film suffered from maybe being a tad too long. But other than that, I had quite a good time in this movie. I'll give this one a 7.5. 3 films left, people. 3 films left. Prisoners. Now, this is directed by, I can't think of the guy's name. Blade Runner 2049 and Arrival guy, and he's doing Dune, which looks fantastic. And all of his films are just stunning. But this might be my favourite of his so far, out of his 3 movies, which is saying a lot because all 3 of them are 9 pluses out of 10. So I've already given away my score there for it. This film was fantastic. I was gripped because, again, I watched this one on Zoom with my 2 friends. Normally we chat a little bit through films, just, you know, we go, oh, look at that, that's pretty cool, well, that's funny, yeah, blah, blah, blah. This film, we was silence for nearly the entire thing. This film was just gripping. It was mind-boggling. The acting all around was fantastic. Hugh Jackman gives what is maybe his best performance. Incredible. The ending was so good as well. There was like a bit of like, yes, okay, there's a bit of relief there, but then they also leave you hanging a little bit, even though you can pretty clearly make out what's going to happen. But it's like, oh, I wondered how that went down at the end, without spoiling anything. I'm trying to say. This film was fantastic. It was so gorgeous to look at as well. It really made you feel like you're in a grey, depressing town. And oh god, you feel for all the characters in this so much. And it's a really good mystery movie because you genuinely don't know who's done this. It's fantastic. I'm going to give this film a 9.5 out of 10. I think this is the best film that I'm going to be talking about today. Next up, this film I've reviewed in great detail on the channel. Or great detail. I've reviewed it. I've done a proper video on it, so I'll be very quick here. The Christmas Chronicles 2. Yes. What can I say about this film? It's alright. Kurt Russell looks like he's having a blast. It's a fun kids' Christmas movie. There are issues, definitely, which you'll have to go check out my review for. But at the end of the day, it is just a fun kids' Christmas movie. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I'll be kind. I know that I'm not the target audience for it. Last up is a Criterion Blu-ray, which I watched, and that is Punch Drunk Love, starring Mr. Adam Sandler. This film started off quite slow, but it really got going near the end, and I actually ended up really enjoying it by the end. I wouldn't say this is Adam Sandler's best. Personally, I do prefer Uncut Gems from last year. But this film is really good. It's got some real quirkiness to it. And you feel bad for Adam Sandler a few times in this because the guy's just an awkward, weird bloke. But overall, I did enjoy this movie. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was really good. But anyway, there you go. I'm sure this is going to be a long video. I don't know what the time's at. It's going to be around the half-hour mark. Hope you've enjoyed it as always, guys. You know, a lot of cool films that I've seen this month. I probably won't do as well next month, but I'll try. But thank you nevertheless for watching, people. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, leave a message, and I'll see you all next time for another video. Bye-bye.